to see a Lee Sin actually being banned out here against SK Gaming. I think MWM may be a little afraid of that one. And potentially another Vayne. We've seen Vayne banned out against Candy Panda in both of yesterday's games. So that would be my two priorities if I were MYM.
Yeah, I think you could be right with that one. As you said, 100% record with that Lee Sin for Hercubot champion, which back in the day we used to see him playing a lot, but no, not really brought it out until these last few games where he's done really well. Up till now, Kassadin, Ari, Fizz taken out there by SK Gaming. That's heavy to Charu.
That's 3 for 3 as far as Fizz is concerned. So we've seen Charu been target banned Fizz in all of the games that MYM's played, and it's not the only players. We've actually seen, I think, 5 bans on Fizz this weekend already, which is a trend that is very telling of what the solo queue practice was in these last 2 weeks. Everybody was playing and spamming Fizz, and some very quick lock-ins here from the teams. Yeah,
gonna have Zed in there straight away. They left Elise open, which Kubon says, thank you very much, I'll take that one. He's most played champion so far in this summer split, and he's had some brilliant performances on it as well.
So I really like Kubon's Elise. I think he's very powerful on the champion, and he's had some very good games. But unfortunately, when he tends to have a good game in Elise, the rest of MYM don't tend to back it up, unfortunately. And it was a similar situation yesterday against Gambit. He had a pretty good 1v1 against Darien, even after being ganked. And unfortunately, the rest of the team just fell to pieces around them.
Yeah.
What we do see from SK with the Zed being locked in, and that was an insta-lock Zed, I should point out. That's going to be Ocelot on Zed. I like Ocelot Zed for the most part. He's had a few games that are questionable, but in general, he does tend to perform well. And it's a very different champion to yesterday. Yesterday's Karthus was very passive, wait for the team, very much team fight oriented with the likes of a Zyra support. And now they've changed that up a little.
Well, we saw Twitch locked in there as well for Makler here over with MeetYourMakers. And SK, for me, the way that they're locking in right now, they have a plan that has just fallen into place. I mean, Zed was in slot, Zyra, Zach, all three, 5 seconds it's taken to lock in those 3 picks.
And more importantly than just the insta-lock, they're getting exactly what they wanted. There was no hesitation, there was no question, it was no, oh, we got to work around this. I think SK were very well prepared for this game, and I don't want to say they predicted MYM, but they were pretty well informed of what MYM were going to be going for. And right now, this is just AoE City. You know, Zed's going to be throwing himself in there. His death mark is, you know, single target, but his Shadow Slash and his E, it's AoE, his Q's AoE, Zyra's AoE, Zach's AoE. If they land them all on top of each other, it's scary. Maybe, and I'm going to go out on a limb here, maybe that's a Zach jungle and a Rumble top lane for SK. We'll have to see if they agree. Maybe not. We'll see.
Well, I think you could be on the right track with that one. I mean, Misfortune, we saw yesterday the bullet times coming out of Genja when he played it was absolutely devastated. Whether they go for that or not, we'll see. Lee Sin currently being held over, and well, it's not really a surprise, is it? 100% win record is not something to sniff at. That's going to be locked in there. Candy Panda actually switched out and went for that Vayne, which, funnily enough, has been banned out against him in the last few games.
So the reason I like the transition, actually, because of the amount of mobility that's coming up from Elise and from Nocturne, who can just jump up over the bullet time, dive onto him, it made getting a full channel on bullet time very scary. In addition to the Dark Wind from Fiddle, in a big team fight that's not in a lane, it's just going to bounce and cancel the ultimate. And because Elise and Nocturne are going to be duelists, Vayne will have a much better time dealing with whoever jumps on them, as long as they come in single target. So I really like the swap over there for Candy Panda.
Well, let's see what MYM going to complement the team here. Something for Charu. Lissandra, a champion that he's no stranger to. Actually, we did see him playing it yesterday as well, so we'll see how he actually brings this one to the table. I mean, the thing is, MeetYourMakers have so much potential, and we've seen that. We saw that at the start of the season where they went 4-1 in the first Super Week, but it slipped away from them, and I wonder how they're going to react today, because they've literally got zero pressure on them anymore. This is basically practice now for them.
The thing that I like about the MYM composition and the possibility of that practice mode, no pressure type of gameplay is it's very, very, very aggressive champions. Every single one of the MYM champions says, I want to be in your face, I want to be diving at you, I want to be fighting all the time. And I mean, Fiddlesticks has got his Crowstorm Blink, you've got the Claw of Doom from Lissandra, you've got Paranoia, you've got Repel. Everybody's going to be jumping at you. What that means for SK is there's a lot of pressure on Nif now. He needs to lock them down those grass fingers, put good Stranglethorns down zone control to protect against the MYM coming at them. And if he's not in his game, that's going to be a scary team fight for SK to deal with.
One thing we have to say in regards to that, though, is that Nif, even when SK have lost, has been a very much on-form member of this SK lineup throughout this entire split. Throughout the entire year, I think we can say, as well as spring split as well. He was his crescendos, of course, come to mind with the spring split. But this time around, he's done some great work. There's no doubt about that one, but you're right. If he misses just one grasping roots in one fight, that could actually change the game around. So I'm going to be getting in here shortly. As we said, MeetYourMakers, they've got that 8th position. They can't get any higher up the table now. So this is going to be pressure off their shoulders, have a little bit of fun, and as we said, maybe try and upset the apple cart for a few of the other teams. Yeah,
now that it becomes a weird place for MYM, because if they're really determined to break one team's heart, they can really do that because of how close this table is right now. There's still a couple of games left for them to play. The one thing that's going to be very key to look for in this matchup is how well Libic interacts with Nif. Libic, probably the most prolific Zyra player in EU, probably played him more than anybody else that I can think of, and now all of a sudden Nif has been spamming Zyra in all of these LCS games. So Libic's going to be well aware of the nuances and the power that a Zyra can offer, and we'll see whether or not he can interact with Nif in such a way to make his life more difficult.
Yeah, I mean, Libic's up in double figures for the amount of times that he's played Zyra, so, and I'm pretty sure there's no one in the EU LCS that's quite at that level now. So, let's have a look at level 1 here. I mean, you've got the likes of Nif, obviously, who can go in there for that grasping route. On the other side, not masses of CC for MeetYourMakers, but there is still a little bit there in terms of the cocoon and what have you.
MYM are going to do their sort of customary invade. They do tend to stay stacked up in a lot of their games, moving into their opponent's jungle, getting some deep wards. And ironically, it's something SK like to do on the blue buff as well. We've seen throughout the summer split, the sort of SK 1 minute 20 or so invade onto blue, get the ward down. It's something that we see all the time. Yesterday, it was just a trade. There was no level 1 action, bar for trading buffs. And we may have a similar start here.
So, MeetYourMakers wait down there. There's a few pings going down. In fact, pings right on top of SK's ward. So MeetYourMakers here know exactly what's going on. They know where SK's vision is. And they might not know it themselves, but they've got both wards spotted out. Nif starts to walk in there. Actually spotted Libic coming through. They're going to have vision now thanks to that ward put down in the brush. So they know that MeetYourMakers are going to be hanging around here somewhere. And there is the back away from Candy Panda. MeetYourMakers calling themselves back towards the tri-bush, and that will possibly be the end of that one.
They did manage to get the vision down, so that's a very important thing to note in this particular setup, allowing themselves to be well aware of when Hercubot's going to be moving around the jungle. The thing that's key here is Hercubot's gone for a Doran's Blade start, so his sustain in the jungle is a lot more risky than it would be with the machete in 5 pots. So we'll see how effectively and efficiently he can stay in this jungle camps.
Well, he's going to have a big chunk of help here from both Zyra and Vayne. At least did start to come down. Makata did go in there and steal that red buff away, so it's highly likely that we're going to see a simple trade-off for the buffs here as Hercubot takes the red from the top side, going to head straight to his blue.
Yeah, it's pretty much the standard that we see from junglers nowadays. Even with the 3.10 changes to the jungle camps coming up at 2.5 and discouraging some of the invades, it's just traditional. You get the vision down. You're not going to mess up your lanes by moving your duos or your solos in place. Candy Panda is going to dive onto Cubon. He's taking a lot of damage.
Yeah, already having to back away from this one. SK want to put the pressure on in this 2v1 lane. See what they can do from that one. Hercubot has now got his blue buff, and again, Cubon taking lots and lots of damage there, having to burn through pretty much all those spots. Obviously, he did start Crystalline Flask here, so he's going to have a cheaper way to sustain in that lane.
Yeah, going to turn himself into a bit of a heavy drinker, I think is the term, just chugging that flask as many times as possible. And, you know, when you're dealing with the Zyra support, the range that Zyra offers makes your life very, very difficult. Luckily for Cubon, when the minions do get to his tower, he can switch to that spider form, pop on that skittering frenzy and get a little bit of sustain back. But it's very risky because it's going to push the wave back even quicker. So Cubon's going to be careful with how he manages the use of that ability.
Well, right now, both 2v1 lanes are having a little bit of trouble for the solo lanes, of course. As, again, Nif just having full brush control there. We'll just throw out those grasping roots wherever he can, try and lock him up. See what they can do from there. This mid lane, no real surprises. Charu having the CS lead up until now, but Ocelot quite happy now as everything comes back onto his turret. He'll be getting a bit more farm back.
So the one thing that I do want to keep my eyes open is the junglers in this next sort of minute or so. In the few games that we had the slightly extended laning phases like this, we had the sort of 4 minute 20 to 4 minute 30 3v1 tower dives in a couple of the games. And you can notice that with the stronger towers, we're not seeing as much pressure on last hitting the tower. So it's just extending this laning phase a little bit. Makata is doing the best he can to at least dissuade Candy Panda and Nif, but he's kind of half in, half out. He hasn't committed to either.
Yeah, they actually having that ward in there as we're going to see flashes coming down. And, well, that was a little bit miscalculated on the MYM side of things. Kubon flashing, igniting in there. Nif did just flash away from that one. And now Hercubot here coming in on towards Nocturne. He's going to get feared away, but the Q will land and he's going to try and push through. Can he actually get in there for the buff? There is Nif over the wall, not quite able to get the damage in. But RSK going to push through. The minions aren't coming, and this three-man team may just go for the dive. There is Candy Panda. First blood actually coming down to Nif there, and now Kubon is burning away underneath the turret. Grasping Root's not quite landing. He's so very low, but SK struggling to get in. But here comes Ocelot. Recall already put down by Kubon. Q's going to come out, and that will secure the kill for Hercubot. And again, perfect execution, just like yesterday.
2-0 start. The first blood did go to Nif Zyra, so not the end of the world, but managing to give Hercubot another kill and assist. The thing that I have to question, why did Charu not teleport? That was a 2v3. If Charu had been able to join that lane, maybe that could have dissuaded them. Now they're going to lose the tower as well. A brilliant start for SK Gaming.
Funny, when we were just talking about these three-men pushes onto the turret, Makata was there, so we figured it probably not going to work out, and that's not really how it started. Hercubot took a long time to get in there, then Ocelot joined in because they were scared of that turret damage, but again, perfectly communicated within SK.
And I want to go out on the limb here, and yes, Makata had shown his face in the lane a little bit, but it was quite clear Hercubot wanted to go to the top lane. It may have been because of Makata's presence, or it may have been because he wanted that 3v1 tower dive. Either way, it's something that we're seeing with the increased armor on these turrets, that teams are going back to the ganking champion strat that we seen before the fast tower push. Right now, MYM with a bit of a numbers advantage, and of course Fiddlestick's Drain, they're going to get probably this Dragon without real much pressure from SK Gaming.
Big's taking a massive damage there from Dragon, but they will be able to take it away, and that's a great pickup for MeetYourMakers. That's going to, nullify a little bit of that advantage that SK have brought in there, but it now means that that duo lane from SK has gone down to the bottom side of the map, and they're going to instantly put pressure on.
Yeah, for the next sort of minute and a half or so, Nif also has the blue buff up and available on that Zyra, so he's going to make the dual lane of Makla and Libic very, very difficult. You can see that SK have already lane swapped. Without there being a tower in the top lane, they've thrown down their AD carry and support to the bottom to try and pressure out that tower.
So a pink ward put down there, right in the middle by Charu. He doesn't want Ocelot moving around, and well, you have to wonder, from that last fight, Ocelot had walked from the middle lane right up to the top lane. How did that happen? He had teleport as well, which is a strange thing about it, that he didn't actually get onto a ward and just teleport up there, but saving that, and it all worked out perfectly for him. Obviously, kill going over to Hercubot and to Nif, as Lyric again getting stunned up thanks to the condemn underneath his own tower here. We should look at the CS because actually Makla does have a lead right now over Candy Panda, simply because of the time that they spent there around that turret, which takes a focus away from the minions. Mid lane, Ocelot has the advantage despite his roam into that top lane. He's got more CS. When it comes to the 1v2s, the solo laners in that circumstance, it's actually Kevin that has the lead. Yeah, Kevin's had a little bit less focus on him, of course, Kubon being ganked and taking all of the damage from Nif and Candy Panda. Like at that level 1, level 2 exchange, part of the reason Candy's a couple CS behind is basically because he spent more time right-clicking on Kubon. You can see that with that little advantage, he's got that Vamp Scepter, double Dorans, no potions to his name. Hercubot sniffing around, he smells some blood. He's picked himself up a second Doran's Blade, so keep that in mind, that very early aggression coming out of Hercubot's Lisa. Well, blue buff at least here going to be secured for MeetYourMakers. Charu going to be the one to take that one away. Hercubot is still waiting down here on the tower in this bottom lane. They're going to wait for that grasping roots to come in. Makla having to flash, having to barrier already as well. Will he be able to escape this one? Hercubot actually going to get exhausted as Charu comes down. Will ulti in on towards Hercubot. He's finished off by Makla, and this is looking good as Ocelot has teleported in as well. Charu, the focus of that one, but the Deathmark not doing enough damage, and Ocelot now in trouble, but he dives in, manages to take down Charu, will be finished off by Makler, and there's a kill onto Makata at the backside as well. Nif gonna get silenced up. Does Makler have enough damage here under the turret? They're gonna go for it. Oh, Limit going super low. Makler actually tanking it up right now as well. The poison is ticking away. He's got a health bot running. This is gonna be really close, but he survives.
So they trade 2 for 2 at the end of the day. Makate dove all the way past the front line of MYM, and because Ocelot was pulling away Makler and Libic, it meant that they ended trading Makate for Ocelot in that particular fight. The one thing that was very key to note is how impactful Libic's fears were. At the beginning of the fight, he threw Candy Panda away. He dealt no damage. When Ocelot landed with the death mark, he feared him away and mitigated some of the damage. And Libic can only do that to one target once we get to more team fights. So whoever he fears is very, very important. We'll see how quick he is if he could get Hercubot.
Not the cute. Not quite landing there from Hercubot, just going off towards the side. And that's what they were counting on. That's why Candy Panda had hung around so long from that one, even with that low HP that he was actually sitting on. Kevin has pushed his top lane out once again, which is going to give Kubon a little bit more of a relaxing time here to farm pretty much underneath his own turret. Won't have too much danger of actually being caught out on that front. Well, SK, they're going to just push straight back here. And with that Vamp Scepter in there for Candy Panda, he doesn't have to go home, even going to 10% HP that he was after that fight.
Yeah, not only the Vamp Scepter, but the double Dorans and a little bit of lifesteal quintessences, that's playing into his favor. So he's sitting on 14% lifesteal, going to be able to sustain himself up relatively well in lane. You can see he's just decided to back off, probably going to pick himself up that Bilgewater Cutlass. And I was looking at the items, and the more I think about Hercubot's double Dorans, the gold that would have been spent on the likes of a Runic Bulwark can now be spent on earlier offensive items if you have a jungler that benefits that. For example, Makate's picked up Berserker Greaves as his first, dare I say, big item, as his first intermediate item on Jungle Nocturne because of how impactful those Umbra Blades passive is in the jungle. So I think we're going to start seeing that trending more and more in our junglers as they've been freed up a couple hundred gold.
Yeah, changing things up here a little bit. What we like to see as well, the direct innovation straight after a patch coming out there. Always nice to see. Looking at his middle lane, Ocelot still holding a gold lead, got a kill advantage here as well. Charu, of course, got 2 assists down on that bottom side. He's gone triple Doran's ring here for this one, so feeling a little bit of pressure maybe.
Yeah, and also Lissandra does have very high mana costs. It doesn't look like he's wanted to pick up something like a Tear or a Chalice right now, so he may opt to go triple Dorans into the likes of Azonia's Hourglass to deal with the Vayne and the Zed threat as much as possible. We'll see what he does decide is more important right now.
Yeah, that's the dangerous thing in there as well, that Charu technically can ulti himself for that Deathmark damage at the end. So even without the Zonias, he's got that inbuilt ability almost to really work around that one. But we'll have to see. We saw in that last team fight there, things were very, very close. And both champions, or both players in that mid lane opting to use their teleports to get in. And it's funny that I was talking about Ocelot's teleport not being used to go to top that time, because if he'd have used it to go top, he wouldn't have had it for that last fight, and that would have gone a lot worse for SK than it did.
Yeah, definitely, because it was Ocelot that pulled members of MYM away, and it all started with the Hercubot gank. Hercubot's the one that threw himself in there, and it followed up with teleports. There's no teleport available, as Hercubot's going to try and rinse and repeat, but luckily the Scarecrow and the Rat were able to walk away.
Spotted him coming straight around the corner there. That ward up on the side brush, if not able to get a grasping root onto anyone. And actually the flash is down for both players on this bottom lane on MeetYourMakers side there as well. So there is that opportunity to get in if they're able to clear out the vision. But look at this, SK, knowing that Dragon has now come up, have started to make a move for it.
So they had the timer on it previously when MYM had secured the Dragon. They got vision, they knew when it went down, and now they're trying to position themselves to challenge for it. But there is a teleport up in Charu. He's just become available in 1 second time, and that means that he can join the party even if he's pushing a lane. Once Kevin gets here from the jungle, that's when I think SK may consider starting.
So let's see about that one then. A few pink walls put down there. Ocelot just clearing out the vision wherever he can. Pretty much 10 men down on this bottom side now. This Dragon going to be a big point of contention for both of these teams. But right now, Ocelot, along with Kevin, are up in that middle lane. Charo going to get his blue buff now. They want to try and push this wave out so that they can keep MeetYourMakers occupied long enough in that mid lane for them to start off doing Dragon.
So this benefits SK Gaming because they have 2 lanes that they can push for towers, and they know they've got vision control thanks to that pink ward. So Hercubot, with that little Emblem of Valor, as well as double Dorans, he's actually trying to solo off Dragon. You'll see a couple members of SK peeling away from the lanes and trying to help him out. The question is, can MYM react quickly enough? Because they're going to be feeling something up.
Yeah, they must be wondering right now where this is actually going. Dragon's going very, very low here, smited away by Hercubot. But are SK going to be able to escape? It is a Lee Sin after all. Sniff going to get feared up here. He's inside of the ultimate. There's the exhaust on towards Candy Panda. Stranglethorn's keeping him alive, and Libic's going to go down there to Candy Panda. But look at the damage out of Kubon. He's going to repel up. There is Ocelot now joining the fight as well. Deathmark is on Makler. He's going to get popped as they focus around on towards Kubon. Kevin will pick that one up. And in the end, a 3 for 2, but it might not be over just now. The slow out of Charo pretty much says differently and stops SK chasing.
So 3 for 2. At the end of the day, SK picked up the Dragon, and they have the ability to push down towers. If they can get a tower, significant win for SK. The one thing that is very scary to note is during the course of that fight, Makate and Charu made it all the way through everything to catch Candy Panda and focused him down so quickly. That is not a safe vein, and will not be a safe vein for quite a while until he picks up the likes of a GA or some sort of defensive item.
Yeah, that's the problem. They've not got the strongest of teams to really protect him in there. Of course, you've got Hercubot who can kick away, but the others are going to be Kevin and Nif CC, basically, is what they've got to land in for that one. And Ocelot just putting out pure damage to stop anyone getting into that backline. As they push through again. That bottom turret actually down on half HP, and I think the middle outer turret is in a similar position here as well for MeetYourMakers. Yeah, there we see it, half HP on that one as well. So they're in a strong position now to turn 1 turret into 3 in a very short space of time.
And you can see by Kevin's positioning here, Let's Bounce is not available. He's just going to jump in. They've caught Libic.
Gone on towards Libic. He's going to get condemned against the wall. One more hit from Candy Panda. Actually doesn't manage it, and he doesn't die. And now with Charu coming in, they're going to lock down Candy Panda. Nif's taking a lot of damage. Charu finished off there in the end by Nif once again on that Zyra. Are they going to keep going through here underneath the tower? I don't think so. And Makler actually using that expunge will force them all to back away. A 1-for-1 again.
Insta teleports from both of the mid laners, and Charu unfortunately just got there and it's surrounded by members of SK while Libic was forced back. So they end up, trading again, but it's trades that are in favor of SK Gaming. With the exception of Cubon getting some time to farm up the top lane and now put a little bit of damage down, everything's really been going in favor of SK Gaming, albeit they are losing kills while doing so.
Yeah, losing a few in there, but the gold is in their favor, and we'll see how that continues to go. And as I'm talking about that, MeetYourMakers picking up their first turret of the game. That will, of course, claw them back a little bit into this one. Less than 2,000 gold is the lead that SK are currently holding, so there's definitely room for that to be changing here pretty quickly.
Yeah, at this point in time, with the Dragon down and the fact that SK need to commit more than just 2 or 3 people to a tower to take it down, I think we may see a slowdown in the game for the next couple of minutes until maybe the next Dragon is getting close to spawning. Basically, unless SK groups up as a 4 or 5-man team to force a tower down, MYM should be able to clear the waves. They've got decent wave clear, and they should be able to defend these middle and bottom lane towers.
I see already that Lockett is in position now for Hercubot. He's managed to get himself that finish. Spirit Visage as well for Kevin. On the other side, for Kubon's Elise Giant's Belt and the Chain Vest going in there. So looking like he's going to play that tankier Elise build from this.
Yeah, it's definitely starting off that way as Paranoia gets thrown down in the mid lane. They've caught Ocelot.
Yeah, they've caught Ocelot completely with this one. He's put the death mark on Charu, but that's probably not going to get him away from this, or will it? Hercubot actually coming in from this. Ocelot going to go away. There is the kick on towards Makata, and now Nifa's joining in the party as well. Hercubot gets locked up by Charu, but that's maybe going to cause Charu's death. The claw comes out. He will escape for now, but Kevin is chasing. That ignite is a sure kill, and a red buff given over. Now Hercubot walks into the middle of the pack. Makler coming in with a pray and spray, doing tons of damage, but the poison is not going to be enough to take him down to death.
Hercubot landed every single Sonic Wave that he fired out during the course of that chase, managed to peel absolutely everybody off MYM, and he did use his Dragon Rage kick later in the fight, but at the end of the day, Ocelot gets away cleanly, he gets away safely, and SK pick up yet another kill.
Yeah, really well done there. I thought, I mean, Zed's a hard one to lock down anyway, but I thought that they'd managed to lock him in there from that. Really well done to get away. Help of Hercubot certainly coming in handy. And that, all of a sudden, puts the gold back towards 3,000 here in favor of SK Gaming. If you look at the kills as well, distributed evenly across the board. You might say unevenly if you look at Nif's score. Those two maybe better on Candy Panda or really anywhere else on the team, but that's giving him a gold advantage as well of 1,100 gold, and that's going to work out in SK's favor overall.
The thing that I'm very interested to see how Nif itemizes, he's got his Philo Stone, he's got his Ruby Sightstone, there's already a Locket of the Iron Solari on the team, so do they want to go for a second shield to try and, 1.5 times shield the burst from Lissandra, the burst from Crowstorm and Spray and Pray? Or does he maybe want to itemize for some damage? Because, yes, Zac will offer some ability power damage, but there's not a lot of magic damage coming from the side of SK. As you can see, Kevin doing the best he can to defend this tower and doing a pretty good job of it.
I wondered if he might end up headed up towards the likes of Mikhail's Crucible as well there to keep that Vayne safe. We've already seen Candy Panda's had troubles, and removing that CC from Candy Panda in the middle of a fight could be the difference between victory and a loss.
I'm trying to think back. It may have even been SK yesterday who had the Quicksilver Sash on Candy Panda's Twitch. And with Zyro down in the bottom lane, there goes Crowstorm.
Yeah, there's a big Crowstorm. Makler actually getting caught up. Libic going to get a lot of hammer from that one as well. They can't quite get it. And here comes Charu. Well, decided not to follow things through. And you see how one side of that fight was there. SK at full HP right now. Libic blinking red. Makler lost half of his health as well. But now in Nocturne coming in, they may try and hold on to the turret. 3 versus 4 teleport is not available for Ocelot yet. And here comes Charu. Yeah, Charu actually managing to lock 2 of them up. He's going to use the ultimate on himself here. And now Nif is going to get feared down by Mikasa. That will send him southwards. And that's going to be a kill. Charu gets that one. Hercubot will mop up there as well. But Candy Panda going to get exhausted. He's going head-to-head with Makler. But with that exhaust on, nothing he can do. And that will be a 3-for-1 for MeetYourMakers.
A brilliant fight for MeetYourMakers. They traded only Charu, and he actually got stunned into the wall by Candy Panda. That could have been a cleaner fight for them if he managed to get his slow a little bit earlier down. And because Ocelot's teleport was not available, he couldn't join the party to help out. He couldn't impact that fight. And thanks to those kills, MeetYourMakers now managed to get their hands on Dragon for the second time this game.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible because it was the exact moment that Charu ulted himself right on top of them that he was knocked back from that. That could have been, well, I'm going to not really say either worse because Kevin right now is in trouble. He's going to try and slingshot away, and by try, I mean he is going to slingshot away straight towards Ocelot and will just walk away in typical Zac fashion with that swag walk on.
With the waddle, I may have underestimated the power of the slingshot. I thought maybe Libic could have got in there, silenced him, feared him, but it was not to be. He managed to get away very cleanly, in fact, and SK still have a 2-to-1 tower lead. Now they've stacked up the numbers we were talking about, 4 in the mid lane, and we'll see if they want to try and focus down this tower to pick up the 3rd and final outer tower. That's going to be very easy for them.
Yeah, not much focus required. Just walk in there, a couple of auto attacks from Ocelot and Hercubot, and that one is a goner. So let's go back to the gold here, because that's once again shrunk down to 2.7 thousand gold. Really not a massive difference, and we've seen that MeetYourMakers are in a strong point to be picking up kills here. One interesting thing to note as well is that Ocelot, in terms of CS, has really built quite a heavy lead over Charu.
Yeah, he's doing very, very well with his farming as Zed, and that stems down from his early game advantage that he was able to keep Charu a little bit back from the CS line. Charu's playing very defensively against the energy-based champion, and it's just snowballed from there. You know, you've seen Ocelot picking up the Wraith camps a couple times and doing very, very well in keeping that up. The one thing that I do want to highlight as far as the items is concerned, we talked about how squishy Candy Panda is and how easy it is for basically the whole MYM team to get to him. He's building himself a Guardian Angel as his 2nd item. Negatron Cloak and Chain Vest already picked up.
Yeah, that's pretty insane stuff. Needs that in there for that. And on the other side, I remember talking about the AD carries, the difference there that, you know, it was always been in this game a farm lead for Makler. But the point is right now, since his last 2 fights, he's now sat at 4-1-2 with that Twitch Blade of the Ruin King in there. He's got all the workings of that Phantom Dancer as well. He's going to become ridiculously strong. And while Candy Pan has gone on the defensive side. He's going to go offensive. As Ocelot here is waiting. Is he going to dive on Charu?
So Ocelot wants to start, split pushing, getting control of lanes, but look at Makata's positioning. Paranoia is available, and he's staying at absolute max rank. That's a level 2 Paranoia. This is going to be mid laner versus mid laner plus jungler, and whoever gets bursted down first is going to lose the fight. There goes Ocelot.
There goes Ocelot going in. He gets ulted down. The death mark going to proc here. He's going very, very low, and there is the kill. It's Hercubot that picks that one up, and I'm not sure they're going to be able to kill Ocelot off here. No, they won't. There's a double kill coming down from Hercubot. A little bit messy from both sides. Ocelot goes in, Makata sees it and comes down, and then all of a sudden Hercubot's there out of the jungle as well.
Two very important things. The fear coming down from Paranoia was enough to disable Ocelot for a brief moment of time, or from the fear on Nocturne, but what followed up after that was the lifesteal on Blade of the Ruined King. It allowed him to sustain through any of the damage that Makata was putting down, and Makata's building himself a Blade of the Ruined King himself. Bilgewater Cutlass picked up already on a jungle Nocturne. That's not something we've seen in a very long time.
Yeah, certainly isn't. And it makes sense for him as well, get it in there, get that attack speed off, and it's going to be doing more damage from that. Whether they'll, suffer in terms of tankiness, we'll have to see. But in the same respect, as I mentioned earlier, Kubon picking up the Sunfire Cape as his first big item, so he's going to be a bit tankier as well to compensate.
Yeah, they need to build lots of armor. This is MYM I'm talking about, because SK Gaming is such a physical, heavy damage team. You've got Lee Sin, Zed, and Vayne, which are all predominantly physical damage, and as long as they can start stacking themselves towards Frozen Hearts and towards Arandian's Omen a little bit later, it's going to help prolong the team fights. Charu on the other side, he's got a mixture of items. He's got that Fiendish Codex, the Blasting Wand, as well as the Seeker's Arm Guard, and he's only now working towards an Hourglass. I feel like he got a little disjointed in his build, and he's a bit delayed in getting towards the Hourglass completion.
As Ocelot once again waiting here in the Tribush. Actually got a pink ward down and wants to stop Libic getting in there to clear that one out. Won't be successful on that front though. And will have to back away. But it's obvious that Ocelot has started to try and get that split push movement going down. They picked up those that double kill earlier on in this bottom lane. But Makla and Libic are being pretty determined to stick on this bottom side.
So in terms of who's going to have to try to deal with Ocelot for MYM, you can probably leave Makla, once he gets his Phantom Dancer, to try and duel Ocelot. If Makla can jump in there and get a lot of damage down quickly, use the barrier to survive Deathmark, he may be able to actually win a fight out against Ocelot. Until the point that Cubon is able to survive the damage, then Cubon's going to take over, and I think Cubon will be the responsible party for trying to control that 1v1 push. And it's what Ocelot does every time he plays Zed, and he is split pushing.
And then we see Libic is playing human ward right now in the middle of that jungle. Actually going to be spotted here, and they're going to go for him. There's a condemn across the wall. There is the death mark down. Libic's not going to survive this one. He is a dead man, as we see the spray and pray coming through the wall there from Makla as well. Not got enough damage to finish off Ocelot.
Really good, conscientious play from SK Gaming, knowing the exact positioning of their enemies, landing the condemn and just following it up cleanly. The question is, what do they want to push now that they've got this brief, momentary advantage? And it does look like it's the split push game they want to play.
Yeah, it certainly does look that way. They've got a lot of vision down as well here on that bottom side of the MeetYourMakers jungle, so that's not safe anymore. We saw Libic, he had an Oracle on and he was just stood there in that brush, and they can't really do a lot more than that right now because they're going to get cleared out pretty quickly. Is Makla going to come in here towards Ocelot, but Hercubot was waiting there off to the side and he's forced a very early barrier there out of the rack.
Charu teleported down though.
He did come in there. There's the ultimate. There comes Makata as well, and that's going to be a kill picked up for Makla. Will he be able to finish off here and get towards Hercubot? No, they're going to back away because SK are closing in from the side. There's a grasping root. Stranglethorn's going to come down. That's dodged by the Zhonyas and a flash away there by Charu. And where's the focus? It's all a bit disjointed here from SK Gaming. Another slingshot going to be cancelled there actually by SK, by Kevin, and SK decide not to go through.
Kevin held onto his ultimate during the course of that fight, so that big disruption was not available for them, and it may have been because they want Dragon. They want to be able to contest this one or pick it up themselves. Sonic Wave goes a little wide and flies just to the side of Libic, but this is going to be a 4 versus 4 until Mukata can get here.
So, are they going to fight for this one? Candy Pan has got a GA, so he's got that bit more safety about him as well as Cubot missing another Sonic Wave, Mike. And Now they're going to push in. Kevin actually going in for this one. Repel comes down. Kuban actually going down to the bottom side of things. He's going to get chased down. Ocelot and Candy Panda actually getting the final blows on that one to pick up a nice kill. They waited long enough for the team to get back in there, and now they're going to turn for Dragon.
And that was all thanks to Ocelot using his teleport. He respawned in time, joined from the back, and was able to force away MeetYourMakers. Another Dragon secured for SK Gaming and extend their gold lead to 5,000. And the question is now for SK, at what point do they start pushing the inner towers? They've been trying the split push for a while, for about 5 or 6 minutes, as they jump the Makate.
Yeah, he's kind of caught out right now. The death mark going to go down. Q lands from Hercule, but you're not escaping that combo, champions. That'll be another kill. Meanwhile, Charu here caught down the bottom. He gets denied from moving out to the claw. He picks himself up another one. He's now 3-2-8.
Very good play from Candy Panda, following the claw of doom until its destination and waiting there, saying, well, you either sit there and deal with Zach, or you come here and deal with me. Either way, you're going down, buddy. And now with the kills they've secured, it's going to be an inner tower in the bottom lane, and maybe an inner tower in the mid lane, as there's a minion wave pushing right into it.
Bottom lane is for sure. Now 3 of them in there. And mid lane, Ocelot and Hercubot, they do a good amount of damage to these turrets right now, down to less than half as a fear comes onto Ocelot, but he won't have too much danger on his hands there with those shadows to play with. And now SK going to be starting to take away buffs, so that leaves Charu out in the cold on that front as well.
And the thing that really strangles MYM's potential and MYM's ability to make picks and get kills secured is the vision and the ability to roam freely. Thanks to SK having such good vision and now control on the MYM side of the map, it means that Makla's going to be less able to stealth up, pick up kills. Charu's going to be less able to teleport behind enemy lines, and even if he does, it's very difficult to kill a Vayne twice, or kill a Zed who's so mobile, or even kill a Zac or a Lee Sin who can just hop, skip, and jump away to safety.
We're approaching a 10,000 gold difference here as well, and Baron starts to be warded up and what have you. I'm not sure that SK are going to risk that kind of play at this point, because we've seen how close, how quickly those gold leads have shrunken so far in this game as well. Although SK, since the last time we saw them not having the best team fights, they've bought a lot of big items coming in there as well. So I think they'll be a little bit more safe, but when you've got this kind of lead, Baron's always one of those difficult decisions, in my opinion.
I want to touch on Baron for a second, because out of all of the teams in Europe, when I think of making mistakes in the Baron pit, SK really comes to mind a lot. From the spring split, from the playoffs in particular, when I think about the games, like, they really were picking the wrong time to try and force Baron engagements. I actually feel like as a team, they have matured enough to understand at what point they can do the Baron pit engages. And you see now, they're warding, they're getting vision of the red buff, and then they're going to pick a fight. His Nip has been caught.
Yeah, he's been completely caught from this. So I'm going to put down the Strangled Thorns, which will keep him alive for now. And here comes Candy Panda up to the side. Makata goes straight down. He gets ulti though, but let's not forget the GA, but he's not even had that popped yet. He's used his barrier and he's still managed to survive. There's another condemn. He gets another shield from Lee Sin and he survives through it. There is the Crow Storm. Did pretty much nothing here as he's knocked away. There's the GA of Candy Panda pop. Zhonya's was used. Charu's going down. Grasping Roots from Nif landed as well. Limit doesn't even bother moving at the end. And that will be an ace for SK Gaming. And they lost a big fat 0 players in that fight. Ocelot wasn't even there. A
perfect team fight from SK Gaming, and Candy Panda just went God mode on that Vayne. Even coming out of the GA, he managed to tumble away the ice shard from Charu, who was sitting waiting for him. SK had the vision control on the red side of the map. They seen MYM coming in, and let's call a spade a spade. Nif got caught, but because SK were poising themselves for Baron, they were able to respond and react in time, and that's what allowed them to pick up all of those kills and Baron Nashor at 32 minutes.
I'm wondering, after 3 games so far and the coordination that we're seeing from SK Gaming, where has this SK Gaming been for the last 9 weeks, or 8 weeks to be fair to them, since we're in week 9 technically here? They look so very good right now. We've just seen masses of money being spent. There's a GA on Ocelot, Phantom Dancer in there for Candy Panda, Randuin's Omen added in for Hercubot. It just took a massive dive when it comes to the chances for MeetYourMakers.
Yeah, having this very big gold lead, and more importantly, the very big item lead, gives you that air of safety, that cushion that you can fall back on. Even if you get caught, even if you pick a bad fight, because you're statistically so far ahead, you have more resistances, you have more HP, and you have more damage. so it's more likely for you to win these team fights. And it's just a matter of time before SK groups up and pushes towers. Charu wants to pick a fight, and I'm not sure this is the smartest decision.
Yeah, who are you going to go for, though? Hercubot is not massively tanky, but he's certainly got enough resistances on him right now to be surviving through that burst that Charu can put down onto him, I think. But we'll have to see about this, because SK are moving up through that middle lane. We'll see if they can get onto that inhib turret. The the Ocelot in particular, had already got down to half.
And well, don't forget, with all the items that Hercubot has actually stacked up, there's a lot of HP built up now. MYM jump in, and Charu's basically dead before the fight started.
Yeah, Charu having to use the ult on himself. Sonya's is going to be used. There's Randuin's Omen pop. Charu's a dead man in here from this one, and this is just going to clean up now from SK Gaming. Repel comes out. That will keep Kubon alive for a little while, but you see Candy Panda just thrashing straight through there, managing to pick up the quadra kill in the end, plus the turret as well.
And that all started from Charu actually throwing himself forward. He threw out the Claw of Doom, was waiting for it to follow up, and Kevin just stood there in his face, spamming his percentage HP damage, dropped his HP so low, and Charu became a non-factor in that team fight. SK pick up 2 back-to-back aces in 2 minutes and finish the game. They're 3-0 on the weekend.
3-0. SK Gaming, they had a job to do coming into this weekend, and so far, so good. 3 out of 3. They need that 4-1, but at this stage, I'm wondering who's going to be able to stop them, because they have looked like a completely different team to some of the SK teams that we've seen turn up throughout this split, I have to say.
I have no idea what they've done in these last 2 weeks, but I sincerely hope that whatever magic recipe or magic elixir that they found to perform this well, they keep drinking it, because these games have been superb. Kevin went 3-0-11. He did not die in that game. And Candy Panda was allowed Vayne 9-3-9. Terrifying, terrifying performance.
Yeah, and Kevin, when we're on that topic, he's always Mr. Consistent, isn't he? He's such a steady Eddie in that top lane. He's always performing well. I don't remember the last time when I thought, oh, Kevin, that was a little bit rough. But now the entire team again, another Lee Sin pick coming out of Hercubot, 7-2-4.